tortured.
Thank you all for joining me. Welcome to another show of Unchained with me, Paul Gomez.
And me, Dylan Moore, hardest working kid in comics.
Getting a little bit better, not great, but
Listen,
we're working.
Don't be jealous.
Oh, I'm jealous.
I know you are.
Do you have a good
Look
week?
at my amazing hair.
Oh, yeah. Oh, had to get onto him about 10 times just for him to comb it a little
Don't
bit.
know what you're talking about.
Did you have a good week?
I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
You getting ready for this convention in a few weeks?
Yeah.
All right. All right. So we got a great show for you. We got a great guest. Before we bring him on, we do want to talk about our sponsor.
Geek Out.
That's right. 2 locations, Burleson and Mansfield. Geek Out is a great place to check out. It's huge. Has a little bit of everything. Not just comics, but statues,
tabletop games,
squishables, just about everything you're looking for. Go check it out. Geek Out in Burleson and Mansfield. Also, we want to talk about Kickstarter items. Usually I like to touch on at least 1 or 2 of them. First one I want to talk about is the Oswald Chronicles. Uh-oh.
There it goes.
Technical difficulties. I don't have the name on there, but it is Oswald Chronicles. It is currently on Kickstarter. It's a trade paperback right there, so definitely check that out. It's an amazing book.
Spider.
I know.
Huge.
Big spider like Superman. No, not like Superman. The other Kickstarter I wanted to just touch on is Voodoo Nation. This is Travis Gibbs' project. This is issue 4. Check that out. He's also got another big, huge project coming down the pipeline, but check out Voodoo Nation before that comes out. Awesome. Is that everything that we need to get to before? I think that's everything.
I don't know.
That's everything.
Here, I'll give you a drum roll.
Okay.
Wait.
And our special guest?
You got to say it. I'm drum rolling.
I can't hear your drum roll. Philip Russick, come in. Oh, you can't. You're up here drumming. You can't even bring him in. There you go. Hey, how's it going?
Good. I'm a drummer, actually. I could have done the roll for you.
He's still practicing, but he's getting there. Oh man! So thank you so much for joining me. Like we were talking in the background, there was a little issue the last time I tried to interview you. So I got to admit, I've been looking forward to interviewing you since.
Thank you.
Then, I mean, even before then. So thank you for stopping by.
Yeah, I appreciate the invite. I really do. It's always good to talk with fellow comic people that love the industry and have the same passion, and you're one of those that wants to lift everybody up. So that's a good thing.
Now, I do call this Unchained because I don't really, I guess, have any filters. I don't really try to make any big controversies, but if there is anything, just let me know and we'll go over it. I have a lot of questions about the industry for you because you got you're doing a lot in the industry. You represent a few people. You've got a few books other than your own, and then you've got this great book, Tragedy, as well. The one that you have going right now is Night. Is that correct?
Yes, that's Guido Martinez's book. He lives in Argentina. Written and created by him. It launched yesterday.
That's awesome. How's that going so far? Is that, we're going to look at on that later on, but how's that going at the moment?
Slower than we would like to have started, but time of year is tough. The economy's tough. People didn't get their tax returns yet, and unfortunately, Kickstarter's really flooded right now and inundated with everybody's books.
Yeah,
a lot of competition.
There are certain time frames, and this is another question I wanted to talk to you about. The time frames of what you put on projects and stuff like that. But I guess we want to talk about a few current events. Did you hear about the Comic Pros that just happened recently?
Yeah, I heard it was actually very successful and it was very good. And those are it's a good group of guys. So it was great that was going on, and it's good for us in the indie community.
I am proud actually to say that my book was taken down there and shown around a little bit.
Oh, awesome.
by a friend of ours that really loved the book and wanted to kind of talk about it. So that's a great thing. I always tell people, if there's an opportunity to show your project off, you definitely should take it. And Comic Pros is a place that it's not just the big publishers that are going there, but it's a lot of the retailers and a lot of movers and shakers in the industry. I always tell people, if you get an opportunity, check something like this out.
I agree. I mean, look, exposure, right? Getting the more people you get out there, it's kind of like the guy who asks 100 girls out on the beach.
Yes.
You're bound to get one out of 100.
This is when you need to learn. It's a
it's
numbers
about
game.
it's about playing the odds, man.
Yeah.
The more you're out there, the more you increase your chances. That you that ratio starts to shrink, you know?
Yeah. But I mean, it was one of those things that you love to hear what was being said. I would love to go to Comics Pros one time. I mean, I don't know exactly what they say. I know that they go into small groups and pick each other's brains, but I'd love to go up there just to hear what's going on.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great event.
I really didn't have that many topics this week. I guess one in the MCU. Do you watch the MCU?
Yes, I do.
So Henry Cavill, I can never say his name.
Cavill? Yeah.
Yeah, he got signed, and they're saying that
They're
he's
thinking Cyclops. Yeah.
yeah.
You
That's
know,
kind
I
of
don't think he'd be a bad Cyclops at all, but I kind of wanted Captain Britain or Hyperion, because Hyperion would have been a really good kind of like to DC.
see. I'm torn as well because Cyclops is one of my favorites. X-Men
Me
is
too.
my top favorite.
Cyclops was right. That whole Avengers versus X-Men crap, Cyclops was right. They were coming to the island to mess with them and break and enforce law. Cyclops was right. But go ahead.
Hey, and the funny thing is, if you put him as Cyclops, you can kind of see the whole Avengers X-Men kind of feud going on with him being right there in that
Yeah.
starring role. I mean, that
I mean, how old is what's his name who played Cyclops originally? Because James Marsden, because he was a great cast too. Is he
yeah.
too old now? Is that it or?
I think they just had him for a while, and I think they
Mm,
just wanted to go a different direction. I was kind of surprised as well.
yeah, but it's not bad casting at all, though. I think he'll do a great job with it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. What do you think?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think they could have placed him somewhere better.
Yeah.
I think it's just because he was Superman to where it's kind of tearing me apart. Where I'm gonna see
Yeah.
Superman as Cyclops now,
That is
and
hard.
that's
Fair enough.
Who would you have him play?
to be honest, I have no clue.
Yeah.
I mean, he really does have a British accent in real life, so he could have been a good Captain Britain.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. I really wanted to see him as Captain Britain, but again, like I said, I love Cyclops, so I'm not, I'm not crying about that casting.
Yeah, well, I mean, I agree with you. There could have been a better casting, but at the same time, as long as they didn't ruin the casting for Cyclops, I'm
Yes.
happy. And I don't think he ruins the casting. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, like I said, we didn't really have that many topics. I have a lot of questions because I've been.
But I'm easy and I'm transparent. You can talk about anything.
So
Anything.
you actually started about the same time I did, only a couple of years back, right?
2021, I was hospitalized and in bed for 6 weeks, and I started writing. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, you've been just killing it. You have tons of stuff going on, and like I said, you're helping represent a few people and stuff. How did all that come about?
Well, I mean, everything. I always feel things happen for a reason in life, and there's been a domino effect. I ran conventions in New York, which led to me meeting big names and becoming friends with a lot of big names in the industry. COVID hit. I started doing my live stream, and they all came on with me because I was friends with to interview them and stuff. And we had big names on, and it was attracting a lot of attention. And I had no intention of writing anything. I was just enjoying the interviews. I got really sick, and I had the image of a character in my head. It just popped in my head. I don't know how, but Tragedy, the way you see her, popped in my head. But I thought nothing of it. I was always intimidated by writing for whatever reason. Didn't think I'd be good enough. I wrote for fun once in a while as a kid, but I never really did anything serious. So I'm laying in bed for 6 weeks, was hospitalized for over a week. I'm on 4 liters of oxygen. It wasn't looking good. And I was like, what the hell are you afraid of? Just write. So I didn't know what I was writing. People think this is weird, but the story tells itself through me.
Right.
Because I just free write. I just sit down and write as if I was telling a story at a campfire to a bunch of kids, and I'm just having fun with it. No pressure. I don't get writer's block because I don't care. I'm just writing for fun, and not for a Netflix deal. You know, I just write for the love of the story and the characters and comics. And it started with just tragedy. Tragedy's first campaign did over 10 grand out of nowhere. I'm a nobody writer, nobody, you know, and it was just amazing. Thank you to everybody. And we just kept going. We got up to 13 grand. We kept moving. But then all these other stories started popping in my head, and I was like, oh man. So I wrote 28 issues, scripts of tragedy, and I've written a total of like 70 scripts and a prose book, and I'm writing another prose book now, and I just keep going. And I have an obsessive compulsive disorder where when I start something, I just go 1,000%, which stresses my wife deeply. But I just kept putting out stuff, and then horror stories were coming into my mind, and fantasy stories, and family stories, and I can't get enough, man. I mean, comics saved me from a rough childhood. You had mentioned PTSD. I actually have a form of it myself, a mild form of it, from a very violent life. And comics helped me. They saved me. I didn't go into drugs or alcohol. I went into comics.
Right.
And they mean so much to me, and I wanted to give back by writing comics that I thought were meant something. I mean, that's for you to decide as the reader, of course, but I'm the type of guy, if I don't like the way something's being done, I'm not going to complain about it. I'm going to do it the way I think it should be done. I ran conventions for that reason. I became an art rep for that reason, and now I'm writing comics for that reason. And I just haven't looked back, and I'm not going to. I'm just going to keep going, and I'm more afraid of living with regret as I get older than I am of not succeeding. I'd rather know I tried and did my best and it just didn't work out than wonder what if I just tried.
Right. So, having ran conventions, does that help you go to conventions now that you've written books and stuff? How does that work?
Well, it helped me. I mean, I have some dealer friends, but by running conventions, it really does give you a perspective of the artist's perceptions of things and their side of things, the vendor's side of things, and of course the owner's side of things. So I think it really did give me a nice broad scope of how it all works and the different facets of the industry, because we all have our own angle we're coming from, right? Well, I have the great fortune of having experienced and understanding all of those angles.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a different world. Conventions, LCSs, Kickstarter, or fundraising sites. One of the things I like to tell new creators, especially going to conventions, is make sure you know who the showrunner is. Make sure you make contact with them, talk to them at least once.
Right.
I always try at every convention to find them and give them a copy of my book or
Sure.
art or something as appreciation. And usually I try to also offer one or two things if they're having a contest or cosplay or video games or stuff like that. I feel it helps getting into the cons, but also, the people there. Do a lot of people do that whenever you were running conventions?
Look, a lot of people, of course, you want to make money when you go to conventions and stuff, but networking and getting out there is the most important thing. And the community aspect is the most important thing. So anybody, everybody has a different mentality of success, etc. I've had shows where I didn't make money, my table back, but you know what? I made some great connections with people that wound up following through later on. Everything's a long game. And I think people have forgotten that. They want instant gratification now. Like they're very pushy and forcing relationships, and that's why they fall apart. Whereas it's a long game. Just say hello. Maybe you show your stuff. If they reject you, all right, you come back 6 months, 8 months later, show them something new, form that relationship naturally. People aren't stupid. Big names in the industry, etc. They know when you're trying to schmooze up to them to use them, and they're humans too. They don't like that. But
Right.
if you're organic and you're natural, and it just takes its course over the time of constantly running into them and talking with them and appreciating their input, you'd be surprised what flourishes from that. But I do think, more money's obviously important to continue books, but if you can come out of a convention having made some connections, strengthened your foothold in the community, it's a win.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's different versions of success. Definitely, uh, it's not always about the money. I agree with that. And there, you also got to find different avenues. I mean, it's not just about conventions, and it's not just about crowdfunding.
Right.
Are there any unique ways that you go about selling your books?
Well, I mean, because of what my future plans are, I've changed up a certain strategy. I used to be in a lot of stores, Phoenix, Texas, doing it myself. But it is very hard when you're crowdfunding. They know your book's not going to be out for another 3 or 4 months, so you get
Right.
buried. Even when you sell well, like I would sell a good 19 issues in a week, but they know that I'm not going to be back for 3 months. I can't take up shelf space for an LCS. And it's also hard to keep track, and are people being honest with how much they sold? Are they skimming? So I didn't really go that route anymore. But what I do know is there are a lot of people trying to start distribution uh, um, processes for the indie community that you can try. There's two people I have in mind. I can't think of the names right now. Forgive me, but that one gets you in spinner racks in like marijuana dispensaries and beer
Yeah.
dispensaries and stores, and it all helps. Another person I just read about it now. They are trying to do a major distribution, actual big warehouse distribution. So those are possibilities. Here's the tough thing, right? Distribution is not looking to take on a little guy like me. They want somebody that they know has the capital, that's years in advance on their schedule, can put out multiple books a month. So it's really difficult when you have those parameters to tackle. So crowdfunding is the best way you can go right now, but I do feel crowdfunding is losing its luster for comics. I don't think it's a sustainable platform. So I don't have an answer for. Forgive me for the long-windedness.
No
I
problem.
didn't mean to roundabout, but I don't know what the answer is because Kickstarter was originally to kickstart your project and go from there.
Yeah.
It's now become an online marketplace.
Right.
But for comics, I don't think it works because it's a collector's demographic that you're getting on Kickstarter, not a reader's demographic. Readers are in the LCS,
Right.
and unless we can get in the LCS or some other form of distribution, it's very difficult to get to a countrywide or a larger span of readers. With crowdfunding, you also have all these obstacles where if you even mention Kickstarter, Facebook is burying you because they want you to pay for advertising. So there are people say there's no gatekeeping. There really is, whether it's Facebook burying your posts because they want to force you to buy ads, whether it's distribution not giving you a shot because you don't meet parameters. I'm not saying that as a negative thing, but it is a form of gatekeeping. Gatekeeping doesn't have to have a negative connotation. It just means that there are certain people in positions that get to decide if you get a shot or not. That's just truth.
Right. That's the way the world works.
Yeah, and like a publisher, they have gatekeeping, but it makes sense because they're investing in you and they need to know they're not going to lose money on you. So I understand that
Oh yeah.
gatekeeping, but it is a form of gatekeeping that we have to find ways to circumvent. I wish if I had that answer, I would be a lot further than I am now.
Now I do want to get into your crowdfunding on Kickstarter night, but right before we do that, I want to ask you, how do you pick and choose what projects to run and when to run them?
Now, do you mean like the people I publish that aren't mine or my books as well, or?
Well, a combination of the both. I mean, right now you're running night. I believe you're going to be running the hardbound
Yeah,
tragedy
the
book.
tragedy sequential art
So
edition.
so how is it that you choose which one you're going to run when, and how do you choose other projects that aren't yours to run alongside yours?
Well, for night, it's we're trying to build momentum. We had a successful campaign in the fall for the trade paperback, and you try to keep in the public eye as much as possible, so you don't want to lag too long, 6 months, etc. Would I have rathered not be in February? Yes, but then you're facing 6 months, you're starting over again. There's no momentum. You're trying to bring back the people that remember you from 2 or 3 months ago. Because you got to remember, campaign may have been 3 months ago, but by the time it was fulfilled, it's maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago. So
Yeah.
it's still fresh in people's minds. Hopefully, they got to read it. So part of that is trying to maintain a consistent spacing between campaigns to stay in the memories of people. If it's a number one, a new one, I do try to put it in a marketable time of year. For example, I'm going to be doing DM Ray's Madcaps, which is a fantasy book, and we're doing that at the end of April because I see a lot of potential in that. And that's people are getting their tax returns by March, April, and there's more expendable cash. There's
Right.
more money. People get the tax returns, and even if they should be spending it on bills, we're all just trying to get by in life. It's like the Shawshank Redemption. We need that poster on the wall so we don't go mad realizing we're in this prison. So I try to strategically do that. For tragedy, I'm running into an actual, I don't know if it's a good problem, but I literally have so many campaigns this year that I have one practically every month that it is hard to fit because I don't want to do two at the same time. In fear of competing against oneself.
Right.
Now, the sequential art book is a totally different medium because it's not a comic; it's for art collectors mostly. So that won't bother me if, like, I do Tragedy 6 at the same time as that, and they kind of go hand in hand, and I can, maybe cross promote, etc. But when it comes to people that I'm publishing that it's not my work, I don't want to compete with them with my stuff.
And you want to give it your full attention as well.
Right. And I hope this comes out the right way, but Tragedy and my books have developed a fan base that's loyal, thankfully.
Right.
And, is it huge in the grand scheme of things? No, but I have about 100, 150 regulars that will come in easily and buy my books. And that's huge for me. And I'm grateful, so grateful. But they're loyal to what I write. And so far, I was hoping that they would come over to the people that I publish.
Right.
And it hasn't translated as strong as I hoped. Like maybe 40 of them, 50 of them come, but I haven't been able to get over all those loyal backers. So that's another reason why I don't want to put one of my campaigns up against them, because they may say, I can only afford one. I know I'm trusting Tragedy, to hell with that other one. I don't want to do that to them. And I don't want it to sound egotistical, like I think my book is the shit. I just mean, if people are trusting that and they can only afford one, then something's got to give. And I would feel terrible if that was the reason somebody else didn't succeed.
And that's the way it is. I mean, fans are going to jump on board and stay on the train that they, are used to and love and kind of thing before they start spending it on something new. So let's jump into that Kickstarter, if you don't mind. Can we show that off real fast?
Yeah.
And this is Night, and the writer of this is
Guido Martinez from Argentina.
Guido Martinez. Do you want us to run that trailer?
Sure.
All right. Awesome. Now, yeah, this has got 28 days left to go. We definitely want it to get a little bit more traction out there. So I hope everyone that's checking this out is looking and keeping this on their list. We don't exactly spend too much time on the campaigns, but is there a certain tier that you would like to mention for everyone to check out?
I don't try to push any specific tier. I mean, it'd be easy for me to go to the expensive tier and say go back that. What I would say is this: we're not just selling a book, we're selling trust. You don't know us. You don't know the writing. You don't know the book. It's easy. You know Batman. You know whether the writing is great or not. You love Batman. We get it. But for $5, a PDF is a PDF. You know, um, all we're asking is whatever you have in your budget, give it a try because you might just be surprised how good it is. And you might walk away with something new and exciting that you look forward to. I mean, life gets a little stale as we get older. And, you know, we've recycled the same stories and same heroes over and over again. And I take pride at Filbo, whether it's my own stories or people I publish, there are new takes, there are new heroes. It's not the same old regurgitated stuff. So if you want something fresh, you want something new, you want comics that are actual action again, give it a try. Whatever you're willing to pledge on, whatever suits your budget and your tastes, all we ask is that you give it a try because we really feel you won't be disappointed. It's an urban fantasy action superhero tale. It takes elements of like fantasy, Dungeons and Dragons, sorcerers, things like that, as well as superheroes. It's mixed really well, great characterization, and the book moves. And you can see the art is fantastic, which is
I
obviously the
did.
biggest
Looks
thing in this
great.
medium. So I'm asking you to place your trust in us. It will be rewarded. It really will. And I mean, you spend $8 on a Starbucks cup of coffee that they spell your name wrong. You could spend $5 on a 28 page. It's a 28-page comic. It's 22 pages of story with a 6-page backstory that's important because it's about Whisper, who's one of the main characters, which leads into the next book. So yeah, just whatever and if it's not your thing, but you want to support indie, there's always the donation area. You can make $1, $5. It all means a lot to us.
$5 PDF, that's great to always have. I know a lot of creators don't put PDFs on theirs, which I think is a shame. You
Yeah.
definitely have it on here. I think if you want to check out a great book, definitely check this one out.
It
You never
also has
know.
Rogue Villains Gallery. I'm sorry, but the rogues are really good, and I'm big on having quality villains.
I mean, it looks great. It really does. So, I mean, hopefully it picks up a little steam. It definitely, like I said, to anyone out there, check this out. That's Night issue 5. So, talking about projects, how do you pick a project that comes into Filbo Publishing?
Surprisingly, for a nobody company like me, I get a lot of submissions. I get overwhelmed with submissions because I'm a one-man show, and
Right.
I'm very flattered and I appreciate it. Unfortunately, I do have to reject a lot of them. Um, the art has to be solid. I'm sorry, but it's a visual medium. It has to be up to professional standards. And when we say art, it's not just a pretty cover or line art. Sequential work has to be
Yes.
professional. So that's the first and most important thing. And then, of course, you have to look at the right. Is the dialogue up to professional standard? Is it cheesy? Is it is it low level writing? I'm sorry. And then what is the story? Is it like because you can take an archetype of Superman, but still write a really interesting, different story. It's not so much the power set of the character; it's how you write it. Like, look at how Jeff Johns took Aquaman, made fun of himself in the book, and put him back on the map. So it's more of how refreshingly new is the story, because let's face it, everybody's playing it safe now, and they're regurgitating the same crap.
And you're only limited by your imagination. I mean, there's
Right.
so many things that you could do with superheroes and just about anything if you want. Me personally, I don't do superheroes yet. This one wants me to do a superhero one,
Hey, Brad.
and we might do it one of these days. But most of my stuff's based in reality, and that's because I wanted to expand on. Hey, you do have an imagination that you can break out of the shell of, you know, everybody talking about superheroes in comics. I'm like, there's other stuff too.
Sure.
But I mean, even if you're doing a superhero, there's hundreds and millions of stories to be told that haven't been told.
Yeah, and the one thing that's great about indie, obviously execution isn't always on par because we're on tight budgets. It's not that we'd love to have better art or whatever, but you're in tight budgets.
Right.
I'm fortunate. I think we have professional quality books, but the point is, the good thing about indie is that we're not beholden to shareholders or the public. We're writing from a passion, a place of it's a passion play, right? It's not a money. Pete Vasquez said this once. It's not about my shows. It's not a money grab. It's a passion play, and that's
Yeah.
exactly what it is. We write from love, whether it's like your tales, right, which aren't superhero or horror.
Right.
At the very least that someone actually genuinely cares about what they're putting in that book when you go to indie, and that's why I wish more people would take a chance on indie, because we care.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that it is hard to sell it because a lot of people are used to the mainstream. Indie is got a foothold in it, I think, nowadays, and I think it's growing a little bit better. I think the more we get out there and the more we tell people about what great stuff is out here. I mean, you've got plenty of projects that you're bringing to the public, and everybody has new stuff as opposed to just what's there.
Yeah, and don't be fooled by just the superficial outward look of something. Oh, it's just another Superman. You don't know. You could be opening that book and going, "Oh my God, this is such a great new take." You know, um, don't get caught up in the superficiality of things. Give something a chance. As a writer, it's tough. When you're an artist, like look at the art behind you, right? You can look at that art and say, "Wow, he's talented. I know I like it. I want to buy it as long as I can afford it," right? When you're a writer, you don't have that luxury. They have to actually invest in buying it first to see if they like it. And that's a big challenge. I'm very fortunate because Tragedy has been reviewed really well by Peter David, Howard Mackey, and Chuck Dixon. And, those are some of the greatest writers in comics. So I am flattered beyond belief because these are people I admired growing up reading comics. But you would think that endorsement will go further, but it doesn't.
It's
It
hard.
doesn't.
It's really hard as an indie. So speaking of Tragedy, you've got some great names attached to this. I mean, how did you get such big names on
Well,
board?
again, running conventions, like I said earlier, I'm fortunate to have formed good business and friendship relationships with some people that are very successful, well known in the industry. Um, and as I said earlier, just even conventions, just meeting people and naturally and organically getting to know them, not forcing anything. Um, that's DM Ray. What I talked about Madcaps earlier. That's DM Ray, the creator of that fantasy book Madcaps that's coming out in April. Um, I've developed good relationships. They respect me. They know me. They trust me, and they believe in what I'm doing. And it helps that the product, and I call it product in the eyes of business.
Right.
When I'm able to show them the book, they sit there and they go, all right, this is something I have no problems attaching my name to. It's professional looking, it's quality, and it's had a following. So that helps too, because you could be good friends with somebody, but business is business. They're
Yeah.
not going to attach their name to something that is just subpar. So that's pretty much where that is. And I'm very fortunate to work with people that I never thought I'd be saying I'm creating comics with. It's surreal. It's fantastic. But I also work with some of the greatest indie artists that you may not know that are absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, no, I agree. Having got into it just a few years, like I said, I think I started in 2022, 2020. close to somewhere around there. I forget. I've slept since then. But having tabled next to some great, huge artists, it's been like a dream come true to me. And we've been chasing one artist to get on our cover, and we were actually talking to him, which kind of blows my mind. But you had a question you wanted to ask, right?
So, I heard you got a book, and it's dedicated to your father, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. My dad is 77 years old, and as much as only 6 to 8 months ago was bench pressing 175 pounds a day. He's ex-military. He's a strong man. He's the toughest son of a bitch I've ever met. He used to scare all my friends. He has stage 4 cancer, multiple tumors, and the cancer is in the pleural fluid that surrounds your lungs, and they can't do anything about that. Chemo cannot get rid of it. Radiation cannot. And the prognosis isn't a very long one. And I wrote a book called Papa. It's a graphic novel, but it's 110 pages. And thank you for asking this question, actually. Which means it's going to cost about 15 grand to make. And I don't mean this to sound like an insult or rude, but I don't have faith that a non-booby book that I do is going to make 15 grand on Kickstarter, even if it is for a good cause. I just don't. So I'm trying to raise money through the sequential art edition, etc., to pay good, fair wages to the artists and get this 110-page graphic novel done, because I wrote it not even realizing what I was doing. I wrote it, and my dad he was a very hard man. I'm not going to get into it, but we didn't have a relationship until about maybe 3 years ago. And it's tough to feel like I finally have one and it's going to be taken away from me. But I realized the book was about him and me, and in a way a tribute to him. Because as you get older, you're more forgiving of a mistake a parent makes, but you also start to understand things that you didn't know as a kid why. As kids, we just see their reaction, but we don't know what they're going through as a parent. We don't know, and especially fathers, they suffer in silence a lot. And we don't understand the sacrifices they're making quietly internally. But as you get older and you become a father yourself, you start to see it. You start to understand. And, it brought us closer together, us both coming to our conclusions as we got older. And when I sent it to him, now my father didn't like comics for children, but he read Tragedy and he loved it. And I was shocked. And he's been a big fan of my writing ever since, which is amazing. So he read Papa and he said, "Is this us? Is this about you and me?" And I said, "Son of a bitch, I think it is." I didn't write it with that in mind, but it just was. And he said to me, "Do you think it's possible for me to have this book in my hands before it's too late?" And I told him I will do everything I can to have that happen. So I'm trying my best, because 15 grand is a big price tag.
Yeah.
And I would love to have that book in his hands. And I have a few haters, and someone had tried to say that I'm using this as a marketing ploy. I promise you it's not a marketing ploy at all. And that would be the lowest, most disgusting thing you could do as a marketing ploy. So shame on you for even accusing me of that. But it's a sincere truth. And I just hope I can get it in his hands. It's called Papa. I can't tell you a lot about it because there's a big twist in it, and nobody sees it coming. And everybody was like, "Oh crap, that's cool." The beta readers love the story. Everyone's telling me it's a great Silver Age tale, where heroes were truly heroes and family matters. And there was a lot of great characterization, and it was really heartfelt, and it was emotional. And the reception has been so good. I'm very grateful for that. So sorry, I know that was long-winded, but yeah, that's Papa.
Yeah, I've got to say, I mean, we've heard about it, and we wanted to ask you about it. We wanted to say, we don't know whether you're religious or not, but our prayers are out to you and yours. The one thing about comics is it can be more than just entertainment. it can be inspirational. It can be something that definitely brings people together. Whenever we got into it, it was an accident. It was, us being stuck at the house, and we were sitting around
Right.
writing stories, me and my kids. So everything that I've done was with them in mind and with them helping me out, and it's been a family affair. So we definitely wanted to say that we definitely want to support you in any way we can. And
Thank you. Thank
like
you.
I said, we hope for the very best for that.
Just having me on, you're doing a lot to help because for whatever reason, most people don't have the time for me on their live streams. But
But
thank you.
like I was looking forward to it even before, and having you on right now, we want to definitely, you know, give you that invitation of whenever you have this book come out,
Thank you.
come back and talk to us about it, because we'd love to see more about it, talk more about it. Of course, there's so much. I mean, so much knowledge that you have, having ran conventions, having helped artists, doing more books than just your own. I I guess it's probably a question that's always asked, but what advice do you have for other creators?
Well, on a personal level, I would say conduct your business with integrity. This isn't a competition. Your only competition should be yourself, being better tomorrow than you are today. No one out there is your enemy. No one out there is looking to they're not going to stop you from being successful. Only you can. So if you're focused on what everybody else is doing, then you're not focused on you. But you can focus on you and still be a part of the community and raise each other up. This isn't me giving you a spout of nonsense. I really feel we need to stop competing and start lifting each other up because we love this industry and we want to see it thrive and we want to see these tales continue. And there's enough people out there for everybody and there's enough stories to tell. So the comic community, just try to unite. Try to conduct your business with integrity and decency and stop trying to do the grift and start trying to put out quality content for the sake of the community.
That's definitely great. The last question I really have for you. Do you have any other questions?
Uh,
No.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Kind of out of it right
I guess the last
Yeah.
question I really got for you is, and I like to ask this of creators, besides your books, the books you're putting out, the books you do, are there any other indie books out there that you would like to tell people about? Is there anything that you're interested in right now?
Yeah, I have to say Lee Giles does Red Scare, which is a really good zombie, but also there's a political element to it, but not politics like you think, like it's going on in the U.S. It's different. It's a really good book. Lee Giles is a good guy. You should be checking out what he's doing. Charles W. Morgan has a noir book, a crime noir book that is called Cold Cutter. That if you like crime noir, you really should check it out. It's vintage noir. It's got that Mike Grell kind of style feel to it, like the old what's his name? Oh my God, Mike Grell did Freelance, John Sable Freelance, kind of thing. Um, there's a book. It's actually my favorite non-Filbo indie book. It's called Rabbit's Badass Song by Christopher Elston.
Yes.
This book is so friggin' good that I'm going to be honest. It frustrates me. It's a crime that book did not do better. I mean, it didn't do terrible, but it should have done way better than it did. That should be on a shelf with an image label on it or something.
Yes.
That is a quality book, and I can't recommend it highly enough. Rabbit's Badass Song. They did 3 issues and they took a break because it wasn't picking up the traction it should have. And it's a crime. It's a freaking crime. The
I
book
gotta
is
admit,
great.
I don't know any of the names that are attached to this project. I know that I've had it in my hands, and I thought it was amazing. So definitely,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I was
beautiful,
very lucky. He gave
beautiful
me a
book.
preview on where that story is going to go, and it just gets even better.
Yeah, it's a beautiful book. It's really well done. So definitely. Who was that? Again, like I said, I don't know the names attached to it.
His name is Christopher Elston, but on Facebook he goes Elston Christopher, and it used to be called Flash Delirium, but now he calls it Slash Delirium because he's doing independent horror films. He's a filmmaker. He's a prop maker. The guy's very talented. So is his wife, Chastity. She's an artist and she's a creator. You really should. They're good people that care about the community and they put out quality content. So you should really check them out. Charles W. Morgan, Lee Giles also. There's a lot of people. Carissa Grant is doing great stuff. She's very passionate. She's out there really getting her stuff done. She's a workhorse. She cares about what she's doing with a great passion. There's so many that it's hard to even think of all of them. And then there's a ton of artists. I post often about how many great artists there are. So yeah, I mean, just support indie guys. I mean, if you could save $15 a month and each month just pick a campaign to support, or if you could do $5 a week for $20 a month and buy a PDF from 4 different indies and give them a try. A PDF takes up no space. It was $5 and you might find a new gem.
I got to say, I'm not trying to throw shade on anyone or anything, but to talk to a creator and them have so many names that they're going to throw out about other projects that ain't their own. I've talked to a creator that was like, I don't really read comics, and it's like, but you're making a comic and you're in the industry and you don't know anyone else.
That's like the people making the Marvel movies now. They don't know the source material and the movies suck. Come on, man.
Having said that, we're going to try to bring this to a close if you don't mind. Is there any way that anyone can get a hold of you? Is there any sites you want to let everyone know about?
Unfortunately, I've been bad at updating it, but I will update it soon. But the website is www.filboentertainment.com. You can buy books on there. I will update it with the trade paperbacks, etc. I was waiting for fulfillments to end before I put on the web page because I want the backers should get it first. You can follow me on Facebook at Philip Russert or Phil Russert. I forget, but you'll see my ugly mug with my beautiful wife. Then you'll know it's me. And it's Phil Russert on Instagram. And of course, you could follow Filbo Publishing on Instagram and Facebook. I do most of my promotion from my personal page because they don't block you as much as they do business pages because Facebook. And I also have a YouTube page, Creator Con Event, where I interview a lot of big names. I hope you don't mind me saying this, but Saturday I'll be interviewing for like the 8th time Kevin Eastman. So come out and hang out. You can even talk to Kevin, say hi. That's about it. And I'm very easily approachable. I have people DM me all the time. I like the community. I like talking to people. Nobody's that bothered me unless you're obviously a scammer or trying to play games. But I had someone call me today because they had questions about a comic script, how to write a comic script, and I helped them. I really believe in giving and helping as much as I can. And am I perfect? Am I great? No, I'm not trying to portray that projection, but I do try to be part of the community. So follow me, find me, chat with me, tell me what you think of the books, support if you can. If you can't support me, go support anybody else, Paul and all the other names. Just support somebody, please. Let's keep indie strong.
Cost a thing.
Right.
So, I mean, if you don't like comics, you never know, your best friend might like it. So if you share, they might see it. That definitely helps us out a great deal.
And real quick, I'm sorry, the sequential art edition coming from Tragedy will also have the trade paperback and other things. I'm begging you, please come out and support that because all the proceeds go to creating Papa. So that would mean a lot to me and my dad if you guys could support that campaign, even if it's $5. That's all I would say.
All right. So before we leave, my kid runs an eBay store and he likes to promote at least one item that he has on that eBay store.
Okay. Let's hope the glare isn't too bad again. Because last time it was kind of okay. Okay.
I don't know.
Oh, nice.
Oh, there it is.
There's a glare, but
yeah.
I know the book though.
Yeah, a lot of people know that book, and it's on his eBay site. That's the hardest working kid in comics on eBay. and he's been running it for a few weeks now. Been very successful. He's actually got my books up there if you're ever interested. That's Hardest Working Kid in Comics on eBay.
Yeah.
He's too
all one
tired to
word.
talk.
All one word, no spaces. Just.
And before I say goodbye, I do want to tell people to check out the Heroic Awards. I don't know if you're part of this, but I think it's a great thing for indie community. I know the people who are running it, and I think the way they're doing it, bringing in a lot of people in the indie community to judge it, as opposed to it just being a popularity contest. The Heroic Awards are about to start, so I hope everybody's looking at that. Definitely vote for Philbo Publishing. I believe they're in there, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. So definitely check that out. Night is on Kickstarter. That's issue 5 right now. It's definitely got a few days left to go. My name's Paul Gomez, and again, you can catch us here every Wednesday at 7 Central, 8 Eastern. If you have any problems in comic book making, if you're interested in it, just have any questions, Paul Gomez 790 on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Usually on Facebook. And as I always say, if you're having a bad day and you can't find somebody to talk to, please message me on Facebook, Paul Gomez 790. I'd rather hear from you today than to hear that I can't hear from you tomorrow. That's all I got. Check
See you
us all
next
out.
time.
See y'all next week.
Thanks for having me.